Here we explore the human experience through the mind, the body, and the soul. Mind Lounge is not about answers. It's about insight. Settle in. Open your mind. Let the conversation begin.
Okay, let's unpack this. I have a question for you, and I want you to really, really sit with this one for a second. Put down the coffee, pause the treadmill, and just think. What could a 300-page, highly technical government-mandated flight operations manual possibly have in common with the mid-20th century French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre and a 2021 movie about Nicolas Cage searching for a stolen truffle pig?
On the surface, absolutely nothing.
Right.
I mean, if you put those three things in a Venn diagram, I'm pretty sure the circles wouldn't even touch.
Not even close.
You'd have to draw lines across the room to connect them. One is about keeping aluminum tubes from falling out of the sky using physics and federal regulations. And the others are about, well, the crushing, inescapable weight of existence and the nature of grief.
Exactly. It sounds like the setup to a very strange, very intellectual bar joke. A pilot, a philosopher, and a pig walk into a bar.
I'm not sure I want to hear the punchline to that one.
But today, we are going to connect them. And here's where it gets really interesting. We aren't just doing this for the sake of, being clever or making weird juxtapositions. We are essentially looking at two totally different types of operating systems for life.
Right. That's the perfect way to frame it. We're comparing two manuals.
Two manuals.
One is the literal physical manual, the General Operations Manual, or GOM, as it's known in the industry. This is the document aviation professionals use to navigate the physical world safely. It's rigid, it's regulated by the federal government, and it is absolutely necessary for survival.
If you ignore it, people.
If you ignore it, people die. It's that simple. There's no gray area.
And the other manual?
The other is an internal operating system. It's a psychological framework. Our sources today describe it as a guide for, quote, true confidence. But unlike the aviation manual, which is all about adding rules, adding checklists, adding structure, this internal system requires you to bring the rule book. It requires unlearning the need for external validation. So we've got this incredible friction today between structure and self.
Structure versus self. That's a powerful tension. It feels like the fundamental battle of being a modern human, doesn't it?
It is a tension we all live with, isn't it? I mean, think about your average Tuesday. We spend our days following rules, checking boxes, adhering to social scripts, meeting deadlines, effectively following a manual.
We want to be good employees, good partners.
Good citizens, yeah. We want to follow the GOM of society.
Yeah.
But then we go home, we stare at the ceiling, and we wonder why we feel trapped or inauthentic or just empty. We're asking, how do we stay safe in the world without becoming a prisoner of it?
I love that. So, our stack of sources today is a bit eclectic, and I am honestly excited about the weirdness of this combination. We have a technical breakdown of aviation general operations manuals, literally the stuff pilots and dispatchers read, full of acronyms and regulations. And then we have this deep philosophical text that analyzes the concept of confidence, utilizing the metaphor of a prison of mirrors and, of all things, the film Pig.
It is a weird mix, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But if you stick with us, you'll see that the way we manage a flight department, the rigor, the checklists, the hierarchy, actually has a lot to teach us about how we manage, or maybe mismanage, our own egos.
All right, let's dive in. We're going to start on the tarmac. Section 1, the external structure, the General Operations Manual, the GOM. Now, for those of us who aren't pilots, whose flight experience is limited to sitting in seat 14B, eating pretzels, and hoping there's no turbulence, what exactly is this thing? Is it just a how-to-fly guide?
It's so much more than that. It's not just a user manual like you get with a toaster. If you are running a flight department, specifically if you're a 14 CFR operator, which is the regulatory code for things like charter flights, air taxis, corporate aviation, the GOM is your Bible. It is the central document. It is not a suggestion. It is the backbone of the entire organization.
So it's not just a pamphlet they hand out at orientation that gets shoved in a drawer and forgotten.
Oh no, it's massive. Hundreds of pages. And it's legally binding. If the FAA walks in for an inspection, the first thing they want to see is your GOM.
The first thing.
The primary purpose of this document is to outline standard operating procedures, the SOPs, along with company policies and safety guidelines. Think of it this way. The goal is regulatory compliance and operational efficiency. It serves as the comprehensive handbook for every single employee, from the chief pilot down to the newest trainee. It tells you how the company thinks.
Why is it so critical, though? I mean, surely a pilot knows how to fly the plane without checking a book every 5 minutes. I assume they went to flight school, right? They know what the buttons do. They know how to take off and land.
They know how to fly the machine, yes. They know aerodynamics. They know that if you pull back on the yoke, the houses get smaller. That's a given. But the GOM tells them how to operate within the system. It answers the why and the how of this specific organization. The main takeaway from the source material is that the GOM exists to ensure standardization.
Standardization, that seems to be the key word here.
It is. Because in aviation, you don't want creativity in the cockpit. You don't want pilot A doing a barrel roll because they feel expressive today.
Well, pilot B is flying straight and level.
Exactly. You want consistency. When you get on a plane, you aren't paying for an artistic interpretation of flight.
You're paying for a boring flight.
You are paying for a boring, predictable, safe arrival.
Right. I don't want my pilot improvising jazz. I want them playing classical music exactly as written on the sheet. I want them to hit the notes the same way every single time.
Precisely. The GOM eliminates ambiguity. In aviation, ambiguity is the enemy. It's the most dangerous thing you can have. Ambiguity leads to confusion. Confusion leads to mistakes. And mistakes, well, they lead to accidents. So the GOM is there to kill ambiguity. It answers questions before they are even asked. Let's deconstruct the key components our source mentions to give you a sense of the scale here. It usually starts with administration and organization.
Which sounds dry, but I imagine it's crucial. This is the who is in charge section.
It is. It covers the company structure, the hierarchy, and the responsibilities of management personnel. Imagine a crisis situation. Maybe the weather has turned, a mechanical issue has popped up, and the client is screaming to take off because they have a meeting.
That sounds stressful.
Very. And in that moment, you cannot waste time debating who has the authority to make the go-no-go decision. The GOM lays that out clearly. It says the director of operations says X, the pilot in command says Y, and it tells you who has final say. It removes the ego battle from decision-making.
It effectively depersonalizes the authority. So it's not Stace saying no to Bob, it's the manual saying no.
Exactly. And that protects everyone. It protects the crew from pressure, and it protects the passengers from bad decisions.
Oh.
Then we move into operational control. This seems to be the logistics engine.
This is the stuff that happens before the engines even start, right? The planning phase.
Right. This covers flight planning, dispatcher duties, and flight monitoring. It's the brain of the operation. It details how you plan a route, how much fuel you take, which is a huge deal, with all sorts of calculations for reserves and alternates.
So you can't just, fill her up.
No, absolutely not. Fuel is weight. Too much is as bad as too little. The GOM specifies the formulas, and it defines who is watching the flight from the ground. It ensures that the aircraft isn't just wandering aimlessly, it is under positive control at all times. Dispatchers are often the unsung heroes here. They follow the GOM just as religiously as the pilots to ensure that the plan is legal and safe before the wheels even leave the ground.
And then the section that I assume is written in bold red letters, safety and emergency procedures.
The what if things go wrong section. And yes, this is critical. It covers everything from emergency evacuation protocols to fueling policies and security measures.
You mentioned fueling. That seems simple, but I guess it's not.
Think about it. It sounds simple, right?
Yeah.
Put gas in the tank, but you have massive amounts of flammable liquid, potential for static electricity, fire risks, spill risks. The GOM has a procedure for exactly how to ground the aircraft, who needs to be standing where with a fire extinguisher, and what to do if even a small amount of fuel spills.
So they've thought of everything that could possibly kill you.
And wrote a rule to stop it. That is effectively the history of aviation safety. The regulations are often said to be written in blood.
Wow.
Every rule in that GOM usually exists because at some point in history, someone didn't do it that way and something terrible happened. It's a collective memory of errors that we have codified into rules so we don't repeat them.
That's a sobering thought. Our source also highlights training programs. This isn't a one-and-done thing, is it? You don't just get your license and then you're good for 40 years.
No, never. The GOM mandates both initial and recurrent training. You don't just learn to fly the jet once. You keep learning. You have to prove over and over again in a simulator that you are proficient, that you can handle an engine failure on takeoff or a cabin depressurization.
So it keeps the operating system of the crew updated.
Perfectly put. It outlines exactly what that training looks like, how many hours, what maneuvers, what the pass-fail criteria are. It prevents complacency, which is another huge enemy in aviation. It forces you to demonstrate competence under pressure every 6 to 12 months.
And finally, aircraft operating information, the specifics of the hardware.
Right. Limitations, equipment specifics. Every plane has a personality, a performance envelope. And the GOM defines the boundaries of that personality. You can push it this far and no further. It tells you the maximum takeoff weight, the crosswind limits, the gear extension speeds. It is the user manual for the physics of that specific machine.
So if we synthesize all of this, the philosophy of the GOM is about standardization and removing the variable of human error. It provides a script for safety. It's a reference point so that everyone performs their duties correctly every single time.
Exactly. It creates a predictable world. And in a high-stakes environment like aviation, a predictable world is a safe world. You surrender a bit of your individuality, you follow the checklist, you wear the uniform, you speak the standardized phraseology so that the system functions.
You become a component.
You become a component in a larger machine, and there's a lot of dignity and safety in that.
Okay, so keep that in your mind. The GOM is good. We like the GOM. It keeps us alive, keeps the packages moving. It gets us to our vacation safely. But now, here is where it gets really interesting. We are going to pivot. Because while a script is great for a Boeing 747, our next source argues that it is absolutely toxic for the human soul.
And this is the shift from structure to self. And specifically, the danger of relying on an external script for our personalities. When we take that GOM mindset, that need for a script, for validation, for a checklist, and we try to apply it to our identity, things get messy. Really messy.
Let's talk about this concept of the prison of mirrors. This is a metaphor from our second source, and honestly, it gave me chills when I first read it. It sounds terrifying. What does it mean?
It's a powerful, almost gothic image. The source argues that most of us are living in a psychological prison made of mirrors. We are constantly looking for our own reflection in other people's eyes.
Constantly.
We navigate the world not by an internal compass, not by our own internal GOM, but by looking at others to see how they are reacting to us.
So instead of a GOM that tells us this is safe, we look at our boss or our partner or our Instagram followers and ask, am I doing this right? Do you like me? Is this acceptable?
Exactly. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I funny enough? It creates what the source calls an illusion of external validation. We think that if we get enough applause, enough likes, enough nods of approval, we will feel real. We will feel solid.
But it's an illusion.
It's a complete illusion. The source argues that this chasing of approval actually prevents you from building anything genuine. You become a reflection of what you think others want you to be. You become an echo. You're constantly adjusting your behavior, your opinions, your very self based on the feedback you get from the mirrors around you.
And the source is pretty brutal about the reality of this. It says living for others is futile because, well, why?
Because they may not even remember or care. That's the kicker. That's the crushing reality of it. We spend all this energy curating a performance for an audience, tweaking our script, refining our costume, and the audience is mostly looking at their own phones. Or, even worse, they're looking for their own reflections in us.
So it's a hall of mirrors where everyone is just staring at themselves, hoping someone else notices them. It's a feedback loop of nothingness.
Precisely. And the source calls this the ultimate tragedy of the modern ego. We think, if I follow the script, if I'm the good employee, the cool friend, the perfect spouse, I won't be rejected. It's an anxiety management strategy.
It feels safe.
It feels safe, but unlike the aviation GOM, which actually keeps the plane safe, this social GOM just keeps us trapped. It keeps us in the cell. We are following rules that don't actually keep us safe. They just keep us small.
This leads us to the core definition of true confidence in this text. And I have to say, this really challenged my view. I usually think of confidence as a behavior, walking into a room, chest out, loud voice, owning the space, the alpha types, the guy who shakes your hand a little too hard.
That's the common misconception. We confuse confidence with charisma or dominance or just plain old extroversion. But the source defines confidence as a worldview, not a behavior. A worldview. It's not about how you act. It's about how you see the world. And the core tenet of this worldview is, well, it's a big one. Understanding from others is not sought.
That is a heavy statement. Understanding is not sought. It goes against everything we are taught. We are taught to communicate, to be understood, to connect. We have whole industries built on being understood.
And this text says that's the trap. It implies that you are okay with being misunderstood. In fact, you expect it. It shifts the center of gravity from the outside world back to the inside world. If you require someone else to understand your motives for you to feel valid, you were giving them the keys to your car. You were letting them fly the plane.
The source has this blunt assertion, no one will truly understand you. That sounds depressing. It sounds like something a moody teenager would write in a diary while listening to The Cure. No one understands me.
It does sound bleak at first, I get that. It sounds like absolute isolation. But let's look at it through the lens of the source. If you accept that no one will truly understand you as a fact of life like gravity or the weather, then it stops being depressing and it starts being liberating.
How so? Walk me through that, because my gut reaction is to reject that.
Okay, think of it this way. If understanding is impossible, then waiting for it is a trap. If you are waiting for someone to fully get you before you can feel good about yourself, before you can start that project, before you can live your life, you will be waiting forever. You will be stuck in the prison of mirrors, waiting for a reflection that will never be perfect. Accepting that you are fundamentally alone in your experience means you can stop performing. You can stop auditioning for a role that doesn't exist. You can just be.
So the real test of authenticity, according to the text, is showing up honestly even when it is easier to perform.
Right. And creating even when you are invisible or uncelebrated. That's the hard part. It's easy to do good work when everyone is clapping. It's easy to be a good pilot when the weather is clear and the passengers are cheering on the landing.
Right.
But can you do good work when the room is empty? Can you follow your internal GOM when there is no black box recording it? Can you be a good person when no one is watching? That's the test.
The source uses a visual metaphor here that I love, burning off the mask. It says true confidence comes from burning off the need to impress.
It's violent imagery, isn't it? Burning on. It suggests that this isn't a gentle process.
No, it's not a self-help spa day with cucumber water.
Exactly. It hurts to let go of validation. We are addicted to it. It comforts us. Burning it off leaves you exposed. But the source argues that the result is that you are left with something indestructible. You are left with the core self. You're left with a titanium frame after all the plastic is melted away.
I'm thinking about the aviation GOM again. The GOM doesn't care if the passengers applaud the checklist.
Not at all. Not one bit.
The pilot doesn't get on the intercom and say, hey, folks, I just successfully switched the fuel pumps from center tank to wing tank. Please clap. They just do it because it's the right way to fly the plane. It's the procedure.
That's a brilliant connection. The pilot's confidence in the procedure comes from the procedure itself, from the physics, from the training, not from the passenger's reaction to it. The source is asking us to treat our lives the same way. Do the thing because it is true to you, not because you want the applause.
Now, we can't talk about this without bringing in the heavyweight champion of existential dread, Jean-Paul Sartre. The source references him directly.
Yes, hell is other people. It's one of the most famous and, ironically, most misunderstood quotes in the history of philosophy.
I always thought it just meant people are annoying, like hell is a crowded line at the DMV or a flight where the person next to you won't stop talking about their cat.
Laughs. That's the common interpretation. And honestly, sometimes that feels valid. People are annoying. But Sartre meant something deeper, something much more unsettling. He meant that we are trapped by the gaze of the other.
The gaze. The regard, right.
Yes, le regard. The idea is that when someone looks at us, they reduce us to an object. They judge us. They categorize us. They strip us of our infinite complexity and turn us into a thing in their world.
Like, he is a waiter. Or she is a mother.
Exactly. He is awkward. She is trying too hard. And because we care about that, because we live in the prison of mirrors, we become obsessed with controlling how they see us. We modify our behavior to manipulate their gaze. That is the hell. The hell isn't fire and brimstone. It's the loss of our own subjectivity because we are so focused on being an object for someone else.
Okay, so we are in this hell, we are in this prison, we are constantly adjusting our tie, fixing our hair, changing our opinions to match the room. But the source offers an escape route. It says the door is always open.
This is the crucial twist. We feel trapped. We feel like the walls are closing in, but the lock is on the inside. We are the ones keeping the door shut because we are terrified to walk out. We're afraid of what happens if we stop seeking validation.
What does happen? What's on the other side of that door?
Freedom. But freedom is scary. Walking out that door means choosing to build your own identity without a blueprint provided by society. It means writing your own GOM from scratch without the FAA telling you what to write. It means taking full, terrifying responsibility for who you are.
And to illustrate this walking out, the source brings in a movie reference that I was not expecting, the film Pig. Have you seen this?
I have. It's a remarkable film.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, listeners, pause this and go watch it. It's not at all what you think it is. It stars Nicolas Cage as Rob, a former renowned chef who is living in total solitude in the woods of Oregon with his truffle pig.
It's not the John Wick with a pig movie people expected. It's a meditation on grief and authenticity. So let's look at Rob as a case study. The source describes him as someone who has walked out of the room.
Literally and metaphorically. He left the high-status world of fine dining in Portland. He left the fame. He left the scene. He left the magazine covers.
He left the mirrors.
He smashed them. He doesn't need to be seen or admired. He is just existing. He is hunting truffles and cooking for himself. He is dirty. He is bloodied. He is unkempt. And he is completely, totally dignified. He has absolutely burned off the mask. There's nothing left to burn.
There's this specific encounter the source mentions between Rob and another chef. Rob goes back to the city to find his stolen pig. And he meets a chef who used to work for him as a line cook. And this guy is now running a trendy, high-end restaurant.
The contrast is so stark, it's almost painful to watch. The other chef is obsessed. He's obsessed with concepts like deconstructed scallops. He's chasing the latest trends to impress critics.
He is deep in the prison of mirrors.
As deep as you can go, he is terrified of being irrelevant. He is playing the game. He is seeking the understanding and validation of the food world. He's desperate for it.
And Rob, what does he do?
Rob just looks at him. He cuts right through all of it. He remembers that this chef's original dream was to open a simple English pub. And he basically asks him, why are you doing this? This isn't real. The food isn't real. You aren't real. You're cooking things you don't even like because you think people expect it. Rob destroys him, not with insults, but with the quiet, devastating power of the truth. Rob has zero need for the other chef's validation. He is free. And that freedom makes him powerful, almost dangerous to the other guy's fragile ego.
It's that interaction that leads to the idea of the elite mindset that the source touches on. This is a bit of a paradox, and I want to make sure I understand it.
It is a paradox. The theory is that as you become more elite, and by elite, the source doesn't mean rich or snobby. It means truly skilled, truly specialized, truly unique in your craft. As you get better, fewer people will understand your work.
Right. If you are the best physicist in the world working on string theory, maybe 3 people on Earth can actually appreciate the elegance of your equations. The rest of us just nod along.
Exactly. Or a master jazz musician improvising at a level that only other master musicians can truly follow. So as you get better, the crowd gets smaller, the pyramid gets pointy, which means if you rely on external feedback, you will starve. Because the general public can't judge you anymore. They don't know enough.
Their validation becomes meaningless.
It becomes useless as a metric. You have to reach a point where your confidence comes from making decisions for oneself, not from the applause of the crowd. Because there is no crowd anymore. There's just you and the work.
That is profound. The higher you fly, the less the people on the ground can see you or understand what you're doing up there.
And the less they understand the mechanics of your flight. If you are Rob in Pig making the perfect rustic mushroom tart, the guy who wants deconstructed scallops isn't going to get it. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with him thinking you're a bum, that you're washed up. You have to be okay with being misunderstood by the masses because you are answering to a higher standard, your own.
So let's bring these two worlds together. We have the GOM, the manual for operations, the script for safety, and we have this true confidence, the manual for identity, the anti-script. Are they opposites? Or do they work together somehow?
I think we need to synthesize them. We have to. We need a balance. We are hybrid creatures.
Yeah.
We live in society, but we are also individuals.
Because we can't just be Rob from Pig all the time, right? I can't just walk out of a board meeting, stop showering, and go live in the woods because no one understands my spreadsheets.
Well, you could,
Yeah.
but you'd probably lose your job and your house and probably your friends. And this is the distinction. The GOM is necessary for operations. When you are interacting with a complex system like flying a plane or running a business or driving on a highway or just being a polite neighbor, you need standardization. You need everyone to agree on the rules. You need the external script to prevent the plane from crashing.
But the internal world, that's a different jurisdiction.
The internal world is different. That is where you need the philosophy of the open door. You need to accept that while your actions might need to be standardized for safety and society, your soul does not need to be standardized for approval. You can follow the dress code, which is like the GOM, without believing that your value as a human being depends on the brand of your shoes, which is the mirror.
I see. So use the GOM to navigate the world, but don't let the GOM become your world. Don't let the script become your identity.
Exactly. And I think the elite mindset is actually a form of an internal geome. Think about it. Rob in the movie isn't chaotic. He's not messy in his craft. He has incredibly high standards. He cares deeply about the food, about the ingredients. He has his own internal SOPs regarding quality and honesty. But the difference is he wrote them.
He isn't following a recipe written by a food critic.
That's the key. You set your own standards, you have your own checklist, and you stick to it, regardless of whether the passenger society understand the technicalities or not.
You become your own FAA.
You become your own final authority. You need the GOM to stay safe. You need the open door philosophy to stay sane.
It's about knowing which manual to read at which time.
Precisely. If you try to fly a plane using existential philosophy, what does altitude really mean, man? Is the ground even real? You crash.
Right. Bad idea.
But if you try to build a personality using a rigid compliance manual, I must conform to Section 4, Paragraph B of social norms to be lovable, you crash psychologically. You burn out. You become a hollow shell, a perfect reflection in an empty room.
This has been a wild ride. We've gone from FAA regulations to forests of Oregon, from checklists to Sartre.
It's a journey worth taking, though. It reminds us that we are capable of operating in both modes. We can be competent professionals and authentic individuals. The two aren't mutually exclusive.
So to recap for you, our listener, our learner, we started with the GOM, the General Operations Manual. It keeps us safe, compliant, and efficient. It eliminates ambiguity. It's the script we absolutely need for the external world.
And then we move to the prison of mirrors. The danger of letting that need for a script bleed into our internal sense of self. We learn that true confidence is the absence of the need for validation. It's walking out of the room. It's realizing that hell is other people only if you let them be your judge, jury, and executioner.
The relevance here is huge. Whether you are prepping for a meeting, organizing a department, or just trying to get through the week, you have to ask yourself, whose rules are you following?
Are you following a safety manual, a manual designed for operational integrity? Or are you following a validation manual? Are you doing this because it works or because you want to be seen doing it?
That is the question. And I want to leave you with one final thought, a bit of a provocation to take with you. We talked about becoming elite, becoming so specific that no one understands you. So here is the thought. If you became truly elite at being yourself, so specific and specialized that no one else could possibly understand your manual, would you feel lonely or would you finally feel free?
That is the ultimate test, isn't it?
Thanks for diving deep with us. See you next time.